Hello and welcome back to my Astronomy Nights. I'm Derek, and in this video I'm going to look at some of the wonderful targets that are available throughout the month of May. Now May begins that transition between galaxy season into the summer constellations, but there are still hundreds of galaxies available on any given night, so I'll narrow it down by focusing on some of the targets that I'm more familiar with, ones I have observed or imaged or sketched in the past. To kick things off, I'm going to look at the solar system, and I'll begin with the moon. The moon has two full moon phases this month, one on the 1st of May and again on the 31st, and new moon is falling right in the middle of the month around the 16th. These full moon phases, they don't get that high above the horizon. The first one is in Libra and again in Scorpius. Around the 17th to the 20th, you can follow that early new moon crescent working its way up past Venus and Jupiter just as the sun sets. This is a really nice opportunity for a photograph. Looking out to the planets then, half the planets aren't really well placed. We have Mars, Saturn and Neptune all in the morning sky, just trying to work their way back into the sky after solar conjunction, and Uranus is going through solar conjunction on the 22nd of the month, as is Mercury in mid-month, but Mercury is moving so fast it comes back out into the evening sky by the end of the month. It's a really tricky observation, but if you're looking for a challenge or if you haven't seen it before, the best time to go for it is just at the end of the month. You'll be able to see it in the northwest, about 7 degrees or so above the horizon. Venus is really well placed this month. It's still hovering about 10 to 20 degrees above the horizon as the sun sets, and the best time to observe this is just in that early evening sky when it's nice and blue. It means the planet is less, there's less glare off the planet in your eyepiece when you're observing it. I find it's the best time to go looking for it. It has a disk of about 80% full, so it's in its gibbous phase as it's working its way around from the far side of the sun, and it's measuring between 11.5 arc minutes at the start, increasing to about 13 arc minutes by the end of the month. Jupiter is also well placed this month. It's about 40 degrees above the horizon. It's on its last lap now before it reaches solar conjunction in the summer, but if you want to get out and observe it, the start of May is your best opportunity, as it still has a bit of altitude when the sun sets. There are some Jovian moon and shadow events occurring as well. We have a couple of events at the very start of the month. We have a few shadow transits. So the 1st, 2nd, 3rd are the best time to observe these early on, but they're quite limited, and there's a good Ganymede transit as well on the 8th of the month. There are some great red spot transits. The best one of these is happening in or around the 5th as well. You'll have to check just for your local time, but it happens throughout the month, but that one I think it has the most altitude for my location as well. So now moving on from the solar system out towards the deep sky targets, I'll begin with the Leo Triplet. This is just a wonderful target to observe in any size instrument, and if you have a little bit of aperture you can really get some lovely detail out of these three galaxies. It's made up of Messier 65, Messier 66 and NGC 3628. They're all slightly differently orientated galaxies, and they have interacted with each other in the past, so it's not just a line of sight observation. These are actually a physically connected group of galaxies. M65 is a lovely tilted galaxy. It has that oblique nature, just has a tilt of around 70 degrees, and it measures about 9.8 by 2.8 arc minutes, so it's about 3 times longer than it is wide, and you can see that lovely center core region. The Hamburger Galaxy then, NGC 3628, is an edge-on galaxy with that dark dust lane running down through it and some feathering on the edge. And Messier 66 then will be the brightest member out of it, and it has some lovely stars nearby, and you can pick up that core and some of that arm structure. It's slightly tilted towards us as well, and that galaxy has a size of 9.1 by 4.1 arc minutes, and it's also shining quite brightly. This is the brightest member at magnitude 8.9. The dimmest out of the three is the Hamburger Galaxy, and that's NGC 3628, and that shines at a magnitude of 9.5. It's a little trickier in smaller instruments, so if you have a bit of aperture you can pull some more detail out of that galaxy. So I'm going to move on down towards the south of the constellation of Leo, and this is a really lovely galaxy known as NGC 3521, and its nickname is the Bubble Galaxy. This was my first time observing this last month, and I had some really good nights of observing it while I was targeting the galaxies within the constellation of Leo. and it's really reminiscent of the Sunflower Galaxy when you look at that detail of that kind of flocculent nature around the center of it. It seems a little smaller. I wasn't able to get right out to the edges on it, but it's a really lovely galaxy to observe, and it's quite bright. This galaxy shines at a magnitude of 9.1, and it has a size of 11.7 by 6.5 arc minutes, so it is quite large as well. I thought it was going to be a much smaller galaxy because I hadn't heard of it before, but it's actually really bright and it's good size for observing. Next up, I'm going to move to Markarian's chain up in the constellation of Vrgo, and this is just a fabulous location to observe galaxies. It's all centered around that pair of Messier 84 and 86. These are quite bright elliptical galaxies, so they just have that diffuse nature with the bright core and that kind of haze of the galactic structure around it. Messier 86 is slightly more oblique than Messier 84, but it is a little dimmer and a little larger. There are other galaxies dotted around this whole shape, and you can see that structure running out. Markarian's chain runs up towards Coma Berenices border. So if you are in this region, you'll be able to observe a dozen galaxies just through the eyepiece without moving your telescope. It has some lovely little interesting ones in it. You have that pair of galaxies known as the eyes, and you can see them in the photo. They're just in the top corner, but they come up well in photos. They're a little bit fainter when you're observing it through the eyepiece, so you don't see a lot of that, but you can track some of that detail in those galaxies. These galaxies are known as NGC 4438 and NGC 4435. Now moving on from Markarian's chain just across the border into Coma Berenices, and there's three lovely Messier galaxies here for observing. I was able to observe these last month on a session. It was the first time I got to observe all three of them in one go and get some sketches and photos taken of them. I'll start with Messier 98. This is a magnitude 10.1, so it's the dimmest out of the three, and it's a tilted galaxy at about 74 degrees. It's quite dim, but because of that tilt, you can get a lot of that attenuation of light across the middle of the galaxy, so it shows up quite well. I was only able to get a sketch on this one. I didn't get an image of it, but I did manage to just get a quick image on Messier 99 and Messier 100. These are both face-on spiral galaxies to our location, and when you're observing them, they've got quite a bright disk. Messier 99, I couldn't get much of the arm structure out of this one when I was observing it, but it has got that really bright core and that nice say sphere or circular shape to the galaxy, but it's quite diffuse, and I didn't pull out any arm structure. But with Messier 100, you can really see that little detailed arm structure when you're observing this. It's a slightly larger galaxy than Messier 99. Messier 99 has a magnitude of 9.8, and it measures just about 5 arc minutes across the diameter, and then Messier 100 then shines a little bit brighter at magnitude 9.4, and this one is not quite spherical. It's a bit more, it's a 7 by 5 arc minutes. It did look quite circular to me when I was observing it, but I think if you spend a little bit more time on it, you can tease out that kind of just the oval nature of it, even though it is a face-on galaxy. So next I'm going to take a look at a globular cluster in the constellation of Coma Berenices. This is Messier 53. This is a lovely small globular cluster, just measures about 12 arc minutes across, but in reality it has a diameter of about 220 light years. It's right beside the alpha star diadem of Coma Berenices. It's not that far, you just have to work your way across, and you'll see a nice Y of stars, and it kind of sits in the middle of that narrow Y with like two dim ones and then a brighter one to the bottom. It's it's easy to pick up. I've observed this in my small refractor, an 82mm refractor, just as a kind of a little non-stellar haze, you know, almost like an out of focus star, but I wasn't able to pick up any of the detail of the stars within it at that focal length. But through my 12-inch dob, this looks fantastic. It has some lovely star detail in it, even though it's a little bit smaller than some of the other globular clusters in Messier's catalogue. This one is a really nice one to observe. And a really interesting one to compare it to is NGC 5053, which is very close by. You can nearly see the two of them in a wide field of view, but it's a much looser globular cluster. This one has a diameter of about 7 arc minutes, but it's really loose. It's marked as an 11 on the Shapley-Sawyer concentration chart of globular clusters, where Messier 53 is a 5. So you can kind of see it's in that region of looking almost like an open cluster. There is a lovely open cluster within the constellation of Coma Berenices as well, and that's Melotte 111, or the Coma Berenices cluster. You can just see it on the top over near the gamma star of Coma Berenices. It's kind of a grouping of about a dozen or so stars. If you observe it through your binoculars or with your naked eye, it's kind of best, because when you put a magnification on it, it kind of gets lost, because it's quite a sparse open cluster. That's quite near to us. So you see those stars, it's all centered around the star of 17 Comae, I think is the main star. It's a double star within it. So we're just going to move just within the border of Cain's Venatici above Melotte 111, and this is a lovely pair of almost edge-on galaxies known as the whale and the hockey stick. We've NGC 4631 and NGC 4656. This is a lovely pair of galaxies, and they fit into a wide field eyepiece at good magnification. So if you can fit the Leo Triplet into the field of view, you'll be able to fit these two into the same field of view as well. They're almost edge on. The larger member 4631 is known as the whale, and it has a small little galaxy sitting beside it known as NGC 4627. This is just about 2.5 arc minutes in size. It's quite a small little galaxy, but it's a really nice one to try to observe when you're observing all of these galaxies together. The whale galaxy has lovely kind of mottling with stars on it in those star forming regions just off the center of the core. And then the hockey stick then is that really narrow galaxy pairing with it, and it's really interesting because it has just a little kick off the top end of the galaxy, but that's another galaxy itself. That has its own NGC designation of NGC 4657. So when you're observing this, you're seeing 4 NGC targets within the one eyepiece. If you're doing something like the Herschel 500 list, this is a great one to observe because you get to observe 4 in the one field of view. They're quite bright as well. NGC 4631 shines at magnitude 9.2, and it has a size of 12.8 by 2.4 arc minutes, so it's quite large. But then the hockey stick then is almost the same length, but it's a much narrower galaxy. That one shines at the magnitude 10.5, and it has a size of 15.3 arc minutes by 2.4. So, and it even looks larger again when you include NGC 4657 on the end. Really nice to observe within your eyepiece. I'm going to stay in Cain's Venatici for this next one. We're just going to move up to that beta star in Cain's Venatici and have a look just to the northwest of it, and you'll be able to see the galaxy known as the Cocoon Galaxy. This is NGC 4485 and NGC 4490. It's got a magnitude of 9.75, and it has a size of 6.7 by 1.6 arc minutes, so it seems small. It looks much larger in your eyepiece than that size. I think it's because it's so bright and it has that really defined edge, so it makes it a much brighter target to observe. This galaxy is only 25 million light years away, and the pairing is in ARP's catalogue as ARP 269 as well, because they have that interaction between those two little galaxies. NGC 4485 is a magnitude 11.88. I was observing this, it felt like a much brighter companion galaxy and much easier to spot than the magnitude of 11.88 would suggest. It seems really bright, but maybe it was just because it was so high up above the horizon when I was observing it, and it was on a new moon night, so it made it a really good target. So do let me know if you observe this one, if you managed to see that little companion galaxy beside the Cocoon Galaxy. So next I'm going to move from the beta star of Cain's Venatici over to the beta star of Ursa Major, and that's Merak. And we're going to just look 2 degrees away for a lovely pairing of deep sky targets, and that is M97 the Owl Nebula and M108 the Surfboard Galaxy. These two fit in a wide field as well, so if you've been observing with the same eyepiece on the Leo Triplet or in the Whale Galaxy and you're working your way over here, all these targets sit within the same field of view and make for really nice pairings to observe. The Owl Nebula is a lovely spherical planetary nebula of about 3 arc minutes across, and it shines a magnitude 9.8. But when it is up nice and high above the horizon, you can really see that lovely detail within this, and you can see little hints of those dark regions that give it those eyes, which give it the nickname of the Owl Nebula. So Messier 109 is a magnitude 10.7 galaxy, and it has a size quite small. It's 4 arc minutes by 1.6 arc minutes, but the galaxy itself is 46 million light years from us, and it has that tilt of 75 degrees, so that diameter of 100,000 light years gets tilted over and gives it that surfboard shape from our point of view. It has some bright texture to the center of it, so it does pick up quite well, and it makes a really lovely contrasting pair with the Owl Nebula when you're observing them together. And when you're observing in Ursa Major, one more just to add on to the list, and that would be Messier 81 and Messier 82, Bodes Galaxy and the Cigar Galaxy. It's just another lovely pairing of galaxies to observe, and again they fit into a wide field eyepiece, and working along with the Whale Galaxy and the Leo Triplet and the other pairings I've been observing, this is another great pairing to observe in your eyepiece. They're quite bright, and you have that contrasting size between the two in your images, but when you're looking at them visually, they can look very similar because the Cigar Galaxy is quite bright and small, and then Bodes is much more diffuse and you're mostly looking at that bright core. But they are a lovely pair of galaxies to observe. So my deep sky challenges for this month are both within the constellation of Leo. The first one is Leo 1. This is also known as the Regulus dwarf galaxy, and it's just north of the bright star Regulus, that alpha star in the constellation of Leo. The tricky thing about this is that it's a magnitude 10 dwarf galaxy which is quite diffuse and just like kind of a large smattering of stars, and it sits very, very close to the bright star of Regulus, so you have to kind of work your way around observing this by using your field of view or using an occulting bar eyepiece. I was able to get this by using my 16mm eyepiece and pushing Regulus right outside the field of view, but it did take a while to try to spot some of these stars because they are just kind of blown out by the brightness of Regulus just outside of your field of view. There is a couple of little stars that are nearby, so you can try to pick it up if you look at a photo and just kind of plan where you're going to observe, and you can get the right position that way. I found that was the easiest thing. The first time I tried to observe this, I just used a star map and I found it too difficult to know where exactly to look. So I used a photograph, and then I was able to use that as a comparison. And you can see in this image here, those little bright stars that are right beside it, they're the ones you want to look for, because if you can line those up, then you know which side of Regulus you need to be observing, and then you might be able to spot some of those faint stars of Leo 1, and you'll be looking at a satellite galaxy of our own galaxy, the Milky Way. Now the other deep sky challenge I have, this was suggested in the comments, and this is Hickson 44, just lying halfway between the Gamma and Zeta stars in Leo, and it's all centered around NGC 3190. This is a lovely little quartet of galaxies. I was only able to observe 3 of these galaxies. One of them was really, really difficult, and I think it was just a little bit outside of my ability with my telescope, and that's that little kind of long spiral galaxy that you see there just beside NGC 3190. But I was able to pick up the other 3 and get a nice little sketch of the 3 of them, and it's a really lovely target to observe. This one is also in ARP's catalogue as ARP 316, and it appears quite brighter than you think when you're observing it when these galaxies are quite small, but I got a great night observing these with my 16mm eyepiece in my 12-inch Dob, and I was able to pick up those 3 brightest members. The 3 brightest members are all between magnitude 11 and magnitude 12, but that really faint member of 3187 is at a magnitude of 13.44, so it just makes it that little bit outside of my range. But I will give it a go again if I can, but it is getting a little bit lower in the sky, so I think I'll have to wait around till next year to see if I can spot this one again. If you haven't observed any of these targets before, do let me know in the comments how you get on. So these challenges, along with all the other targets, are all available throughout the month of May. So if you get a chance to get out on a dark night and observe some of these targets, do let me know how you get on in the comments below. I really look forward to hearing about your observation sessions, and if you're imaging as well, do let me know what targets you plan on imaging throughout May. And if you have any suggestions about what I should highlight for the month of June, or any deep sky targets you like to observe in June, just pop them in the comments below and I'll see if I can add them into my deep sky challenge for June. Until next time, thanks so much and clear skies.